It's another edition of Time About the Movies, and today we're taking a look at the three films of the 4th of July weekend 2007. And on this particular week, Transformers comes to life on the big screen through the power of Michael Bay. Robin Williams is a priest who helps to get John Krasinski and Mandy Moore ready for their wedding. And we also have Christian Bale in a new film from Werner Herzog. But before we get to those, let's talk about the biggest new release of the weekend and probably the most anticipated movie of the summer of 2007. In a summer that had a bunch of highly anticipated movies, I don't think anyone was really prepared for themselves when, in the summer of 2006, they were sitting down in the movie theater watching Superman Returns, and then the teaser trailer for one of next summer's biggest blockbusters comes up, and it's this beauty right here.
7, 6, 5, 4. We've gone for main engine start. We have.
I mean, kind of like with Spider-Man 3, it was what trailer that, everybody had heard about. Nobody had an idea of what was really coming. And we didn't, it is the perfect definition of a teaser trailer because you don't see any of the Transformers in there, but you just saw that they were coming to life in live action form. And you just got the idea that this really is happening. They've been trying to make this movie for several years now. And yet, lo and behold, here it is, and you have Steven Spielberg as one of the producers behind it too. Michael Bay is a director who seems to be pretty primed, no pun intended, for this type of a film. And yeah, the expectation was building up high with every new trailer that had come out at that point, as we slowly but surely got an idea of seeing the Transformers in live action form. And then the movie came out, and then it became one of the biggest hits of the year, and it was a good fun time when I first saw it back in the day. I remember seeing this on opening night when it came out in theaters. I think it was one of the first times I ever went to a late night screening for a movie. I didn't usually go to the movies after, 7 o'clock or 7 o'clock like that, unless I had someone with me. So this was my first time going out on my own to see this on the night before. I think it was the Wednesday. It was either the Wednesday or the Tuesday. It had to be Tuesday night when this came out. So I went to see it, and I was really glad I did, because I got to experience something really, really incredible with this film. It stars Shia LaBeouf as Sam Witwicky, a teenager who gets caught up in the war between the heroic Autobots and the evil Decepticons, two factions of shape-shifting alien robots. The Autobots intend to retrieve and use the Allspark, the powerful artifact that creates the robotic race that is on Earth, to rebuild their home planet Cybertron and end the war, while the Decepticons have the intention of using it to build an army to take back their world by giving life to the machines on Earth. And you also have a cast that includes Tyrese Gibson, Josh Duhamel, Anthony Anderson, Rachel Taylor, John Turturro, Jon Voight, Peter Cullen, once again as Optimus Prime. You have Hugo Weaving as Megatron, and of course Megan Fox in this movie, who became a big star with this movie, mostly because of her body. I mean, let's be honest, that's exactly what she became known for. And I mean, I was suckered into it too. I was 18 years old teenager when I saw this movie, and yeah, how could you not, with the way that she's bent over in some of these scenes? And luckily, she did eventually get better as an actress in some movies, not all of them. We'll delve into those as we go along here. But Jennifer's Body, Friends with Kids, This Is 40, a bunch of other movies I can mention. But in here, for the roles she has to play in here, she's okay. Shia LaBeouf, I think, is okay in the movie, too, but really, most of the human characters in here are just kind of, nobody really was that impressive overall. In fact, most of the characters live-action characters in here were pretty much generic and lackluster overall, but really, we all know what we were coming to see these movies for. We wanted to see the robots. We wanted to see the action. We wanted to see Michael Bay blow up stuff. And yeah, this was the time to do this with this particular movie, and we had a great time watching it. I remember myself having a ball watching this movie, even when I watched it at home when it came out on DVD and Blu-ray and watched it on TV all the time. Yeah, it's a movie that is incredibly stupid and ridiculous and over the top at times, but you know what? It's everything you can ask for and then some with a movie. I mean, this is everything you wanted to see in a live-action Transformers movie. It's incredible fun. It's a turn-your-brain-off type of a movie. It isn't dumbing it. It isn't making you stupider like the sequels would later do. Trust me, this series does get stupider as it goes on, and most of these movies that come after this are not good films whatsoever. But this one, we accepted it because, yeah, we had never seen anything like this before. It's a good, fun, over-the-top extravaganza, and this is exactly what you want to see in a live-action Transformers movie. I mean, luckily down the road, they would start giving us really good Transformers movies, but only once you finally got rid of Michael Bay and pushed him off to the side. That's why we got good stuff like Bumblebee and Transformers Rise of the Beast, and just recently, Transformers 1. 3 movies that I think are excellent, excellent movies. Like, those ones are the best ones of the entire series, but I have to give love to the original Transformers movie. It was something new we hadn't seen before. It's a good, fun, over-the-top summer blockbuster extravaganza. This is the type of movie that you want to see in the summer movie season, and to see this on the biggest screen I could, it was a good, fun time all across the board. I love the hell out of this movie. It's good fun all across the board. It still holds up for me after all these years. Yes, there are bad Transformers movies, and we're going to get to them as we move along here, but yeah, this is about as good, fun, summer popcorn, blockbuster fun as you could possibly get. I mean, I saw this movie several times in the movie theaters. It was a good, fun time across the board. It was very stupid at times, but god damn it, I loved every single moment of it. I enjoyed the hell out of this film. That's Transformers, so let's go ahead and move on to the movie that had the balls to combat Transformers, the romantic comedy License to Wed, starring Robin Williams, John Krasinski, and Mandy Moore.
Someone once said, marriage is bliss. But that someone probably wasn't married. From that first destined meeting.
Hi.
The first time you say, I love you.
What?
What? Of you. What of you?
Next comes the big one. The proposal.
I just want to know if you would spend the rest of your life with me.
That's where I come in.
Reverend Frank.
Little Sadie Jones. I'm just going to tie the knot. Ben, what do you do besides little Sadie here?
Reverend Frank has known the family forever.
Before I certify you ready for marriage, you have to pass the marriage preparation course here.
This isn't mandatory, right?
Let's just say we strongly advise it.
In other words, you have no choice.
I'm sorry, who are you again?
Reverend Frank's my mentor.
My little Mensa. Rule number 1, no sex until the honeymoon.
No sex? That's supposed to happen after you get married.
I'm Frank. He's just a little bit intrusive.
He's just observing our relationship right now.
Like a voyeur.
Reverend Frank is not like a voyeur.
What's rule number 2?
The communication test. Blindfold.
You're insane!
Garbage truck right there, garbage truck.
Now the real fun begins. Congratulations, you've just had twins.
Little creepy robot baby. Oh my God. Stop! Stop!
What kind of sins are we dealing with here, guys?
Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife.
Starts with coveting, ends with the clef.
Ben hasn't written his vows yet. He's just drawn this little animated truck going through a hoop of fire. Were we the first ones to fail the course?
You said the course is over.
This is great. A little one-on-one time with your spiritual elder.
I'm gonna have to heal you.
We have got to pray. We have got to pray. We have got to pray to make it through the day.
Is that MC Hammer?
That last line's probably one of the funnier lines in the movie, for a movie that doesn't seem like it has a whole lot there in terms of a storyline overall. It's a pretty lame story when you really look at it. Robin Williams plays a reverend who puts an engaged couple through a grueling marriage preparation course to see if they're meant to be married in his church. And yeah, Robin Williams can get some good one-liners here and there, but not gonna lie, this movie was pretty bad. I mean, despite the fact that it had a lot of really good talent all across the board, I mean, Mandy Moore and John Krasinski have proven time and time again that they can be really good actors, but this was back when kind of John Krasinski was seen as kind of like, wasn't seen as the big name that he would eventually become nowadays. Like, he was still just Jim from The Office, and he didn't really do a whole lot in here to kind of distance himself from from Jim from The Office, but nowadays, we now know him for how good he can really be with his work with the Quiet Place movies and most recently If. Mandy Moore is just fine in the movie in particular. There's nothing really that great about her in terms of the character she plays here, but nobody really is given a whole lot to do in terms of being funny overall. You can tell this was directed by somebody who worked on The Office, because not only with John Krasinski, you see a lot of different Office people in this movie. I think Angela's in here. You saw Kevin in here, Brian Baumgartner for the little bit in the trailer, and at times there are some good laughs here and there, but the premise just really feels really stupid and sometimes really creepy. Just the fact that this priest is doing these bizarre things to these married couples to see if they really love each other. Just like that feels way too disturbing on a number of different levels. And it's just like, I mean, there could be a good idea for a comedy here, but even Robin Williams, as much as I love him, as much as I love his shtick, it gets really weak in this film and on numerous occasions. And even the funny lines he has in this movie are not enough to save the film overall. And yeah, I was kind of let down by the movie overall. Some good laughs once in a while, but not enough for me to say that this is something that you should see. It's still a pretty bad movie overall. A major letdown overall. I was kind of disappointed by this particular film. So that's License to Wed, so let's go ahead and move on to our last movie, and that's Christian Bale and Werner Herzog's Rescue Dawn.
Rescue Dawn is relentlessly exciting. Christian Bale gives the performance of his life, inspired by the true story. Rescue Dawn, on DVD today.
And this is not an action movie, regardless of what that commercial is trying to tell you. This is a war drama, and it's based on the true story of Dieter Dengler, played by Christian Bale, who is a German-American pilot who was shot down and captured by village sympathetic to the Pathet Lao during an American military campaign in the Vietnam War. And you also have Steve Zahn, Jeremy Davies, and Toby Huss. You know, Cotton Hill from King of the Hill is in this movie. I have no idea, but yeah, he's in this film, and yeah, it's hard to believe it. Like, Cotton Hill was actually in a war movie like this, and I'm pretty sure he was in some other war movies too, but I remember watching this for the first time and going like, why does that guy's voice sound familiar? It's just like, oh my god, that's Cotton Hill. That's Cotton Hill. It's just like he's been in some other stuff too. Like, he was the dad in the Weird Al Yankovic movie. He's really funny in that movie, and I did not know this for the longest time, but he was Artie from Pete and Pete, The Adventures of Pete and Pete. I had no idea that the same guy who did the voice of Khan Supanusapon and Cotton Hill was also Artie, and it's just just wow, man, just the things you know about, just the more you know, and yeah, just crazy stuff in this world, but yeah, this is a really good movie. It's actually a really good war movie, and it works because you buy into the characters that Christian Bale plays, as well as Steve Zahn. Steve Zahn, I think, is very good, too, giving us a more dramatic role than his more comedic appearances that he's in. And yeah, the film's biggest problem, I think, is that they had a hard time really figuring out how to sell the movie to people. And yeah, the film wasn't able to make its money back and actually lost money from the DVD rentals and sales. Again, because of bad commercials like that make it seem like it's another generic action movie, like Behind Enemy Lines or something like that. And no, it's not that whatsoever. It's a really good, thought-provoking drama about essentially man versus nature. And once again, Christian Bale giving another really damn good performance and proving that he's not just Batman. He can play other roles, and just gives one of these really good, solid performances all across the board. It's a very tense film. It's a really engaging movie. It's a very underrated little gem of a movie that not a lot of people really talk about all that much, but man, you should definitely give it a shot. If you love watching Christian Bale in movies, this is definitely one you have to see. One of his most underrated film roles. I was really glad I got to see him when I did, because I was really impressed by what I saw here. Werner Herzog does a great job directing this. Rescue Dawn. It's a really good movie. I highly recommend checking it out.
14 years ago, Voldemort had huge numbers at his command.
The evidence the Dark Lord's return is incontrovertible.
You won't last 2 seconds if he invades your mind.
I'm not weak.
Then prove it.
If Voldemort's building up an army, then I want to fight.
So this movie marks a number of notable things. For one thing, it's the first time the Harry Potter series was not written by Steve Kloves. This was actually written by Michael Goldenberg, and that's actually from Carnegie, because I live in Pittsburgh. It's not too far away from here. But this is also the first film directed by David Yates, who would take over the Harry Potter series going forward, even directing all the Fantastic Beasts movies, and needless to say, I think he's overstayed his welcome, but that's for another day and time. But this is the 5th installment of the Harry Potter series, where you once again have Harry, Ron, and Hermione going back for another year at Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry, and the Ministry of Magic is in denial of the return of Lord Voldemort, who is played by Ralph Fiennes. And you also have a lot of the characters from the other movies. And, yeah, this is the continuation of the Harry Potter series from obviously the last movie in general. And, yeah, the continuation of the growth of these movies. These movies do get better and better as they go along here. It's interesting because this is the shortest length of the Harry Potter movies going forward, but it does show what David Yates was able to do when he first was coming into the series in general. I mean, this is his first feature film in general, coming in from, his work in television before this and then going into this. I mean, this is one of those examples of when you take a first-time television director and give him a big project like this, and you let him see what they can do with it. And for him to just knock this out of the park just like this, I mean, this is really good, man. Like I said, it's the logical steps going forward with the series in general. It's them going forward, getting more darker. We're way past the kiddie movie start of the series with Chris Columbus and all that. Started with the Goblet of Fire, and now it's coming into... It did start with... what was the third one? What was the third one? Don't tell me. Sorcerer's Stone, Chamber of Secrets, Prisoner of Azkaban was the third one. Good Lord. It started with that movie, but then it got more darker with Goblet of Fire, and now here we are with the next one, probably the most darkest one up to this point, Order of the Phoenix. And of course we have one more before we get to the conclusion of the series, but yeah, like I said, these movies have gotten better and better with every film. This is definitely the best one of the bunch, continuing the storyline here, much darker, they're moving the story along here. There's more of a growing threat in here because we get more of Voldemort coming into play here. Yeah, it's an incredible movie. It's a great film. Continues to show the growth of the Harry Potter series going forward. Not much more I can really add to this film that hasn't already been said already, but yeah, Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. It's definitely the best one of the series that we've had up to this point, but we know it's going to get better from this point going forward with the next with the next 3 films actually. But okay, the next movie, the Deathly Hallows, we'll get to that one. We'll get to that one later on, because that's where I would kind of say it took a little bit of a step back, but it ended on the best note possible. But that is in the future. So let's go ahead and move on to the next movie we have here, and that is Captivity.
13th captivity is here. Punished by the public for its billboards. The most controversial horror film
Please help me.
ever. Alicia Cuthbert.
Get out of here.
Daniel Gillies. Captivity. Rated R. Now playing.
Yeah, the most controversial horror film of the year. Yeah. Hostel Part 2 would like to have a word with you, because let's talk about what the controversy was, because from what I've seen, it's not even that big of a controversy. So what was happening was that there were a lot of controversial images coming out depicting promotional scenes from the movie by the studio behind this, After Dark Films, where they showed the kidnapping, the torture, and the presumed murder of a female character. And, they put this on billboards and taxi cabs, and And, I mean, I don't really see the controversy here. I mean, I'm trying to look for them here, and I'm not seeing anything, but actually, let me do more research before I go far in on what I want to say here, because, yeah, I feel like I need to do some more research on this. Give me 1 second. Okay, I found it here, and, yeah, admittedly, it's a little bit of a question mark on whether or not they should have done this or not, but I don't know, man. I don't think this is as bad as people let on. I mean, it's basically giving you the idea of what the movie is, and it isn't like Hostel Part 2, where they literally had, a woman literally naked with her boobs sticking out and with a severed head. I mean, I don't know. I get the idea of why people are so upset about this, but I don't know. It's kind of like that controversy with the Aqua Teen Hunger Force movie that came out just before it came out earlier in the year. But I don't know. That's just it's my personal opinion. It's not that big of a deal. At least to me it isn't. But because it gives you the idea of what the movie is. Plus, we're really going to cause a commotion for this movie that is basically just a ripoff of every other torture porn movie. I don't care if Roland Joffrey is the director of this. The guy who did The Mission, did these classic movies back in the day, Fat Man and Little Boy, The Killing Fields, these movies that made him somewhat of a name beforehand. I don't care that I don't care that it has somebody like Larry Cohen writing the script for it. I don't care that it has Alicia Cuthbert in it from 24. The concept in here is just something we've seen done to death so many times before. Cuthbert plays a young fashion model who is abducted and is psychologically tortured by unknown assailants. What's really the controversy of the movie is how lazy the movie is. I mean, this is a film that has no reason to be this generic and so bland and so forgettable. At least Saw and Hostel were trying to do something with the torture porn concept. This is just literally just the same thing we've seen done over and over and over again, except there's nothing of value here whatsoever. This is a boring movie. This is not even a scary film at all. It's a boring movie where nothing is going on in this film. I had this confused with another movie. I think I said that this took place inside of a parking garage, but no, that's another movie called P2, which should be coming up in the next couple of months. I think in the same year. If not the same year, it should be coming within the next couple of years. In fact, let me see. That's since 2007. Comes out in November. Okay, so we're gonna get to that one eventually. I got those two confused, but even so, man, this is still a really lackluster movie that has nothing of value to it whatsoever. It's a boring movie. It's a bland movie. It has nothing to add to it in terms of the torture porn genre. At least stuff like Hostel and Saw were trying to do something creative and inventive with their kills. This just falls into the same old predictable territory and just falls into a complete mess of stuff we've seen done to death so many times before. It went in there just because it was coming out on Friday the 13th. They needed a big horror movie to come out that weekend. They thought this was it, and yeah, the end result is a massive, massive bore fest. I mean, this isn't scary. This is boring. It's a boring film, and yeah, nothing about this movie was worth it. Not even the controversy that they had, but that's just my personal opinion on it. So that's Captivity. So let's go ahead and wrap it up with our last one we have here. After Harry Potter, the second best movie of the week, and that is Talk to Me.
Award nominee Don Cheadle, She Would Tell Ejiofor, Cedric the Entertainer, Taraji P. Henson, Mike Epps, and Martin Sheen.
You ready to shake up the world, Radio Man?
Talk to Me.
Let me put my arms around you. I don't know why that happens. Every time I see the title "Talk to Me," I just think of the song, "Come to Me" by James Ingram and Patti LaBelle, I think. Yeah, I know I'm doing this while I'm doing it, but let me see. Where is it? Yeah, Patty Austin and James Ingram. Okay, but no, this is not that kind of a movie. But it is centering around the world of music. Talk to Me is about you have Washington D.C. radio personality Ralph Green, Petey Green, played by Don Cheadle, who is an ex-con who becomes a popular talk show host and community activist, and Dewey Hughes. Dewey Hughes is played by Chiwetel Ejiofor. Yeah, I'm correct on that. His friend and manager, and it spans the time periods between May 1966 and January of 1984, ending with Green's memorial service. And Cassie Lemons directed this movie. She's made some pretty good movies as a director. Eve's Bayou is probably her best overall film. She just did Whitney Houston, I Want to Dance with Somebody, which the performance of Whitney Houston was great. The movie was not. And she's made some bad stuff too. Her next movie after this, Black Nativity, I did not like all that much, but this is a really good movie of hers. Probably my second favorite movie of hers, with a lot of good performances by Cheadle and Ejiofor, Taraji P. Henson, Cedric the Entertainer, Mike Epps. A lot of great talent in this movie overall. Rick Famuyiwa, who did Roll Bounce, was the writer on this movie, and he wrote it, and he did a good job of handling the script on this. And it's a really good movie. It's an engaging film with a lot of great talent all across the board. It's a really interesting storyline. It's interesting. Story about this guy in radio who, kind of became the voice of a generation, and it really was very impressively handled. It was a really good film, really interesting to watch, and one I can't recommend enough. It's definitely a great film. I highly recommend it. Talk to me.
Problem. I'm trying to get my pension changed to my kids. Chuck was his solution. Domestic partnership.
We're not gay.
On July 20th.
I'd like to talk to you about your domestic partnership.
You're a legitimate couple, right?
I used to wrestle in high school, and I loved it.
Adam Sandler, Kevin James.
What do you got? Maxi pads.
We're gay, not transsexual.
Chuck and Larry.
Greatest body I've ever seen.
These are real, by the way.
Feel yucky.
Rated PG-13.
My God, this movie has a wide range of thoughts for me. It's not a bad idea, but at the same time, this is one of those movies that, started off as something pretty promising, but then, Adam Sandler and his buddies came in and completely ruined it. No joke. This is a film written by Alexander Payne and Jim Taylor, the guys who did Sideways. And then, Adam Sandler and his buddies came on board and basically kind of ruined that. This whole movie was supposed to be very, very different. Back in 1999, this movie was actually made with Tom Shadyac, the guy who did Bruce Almighty and Evan Almighty, as the producer of it. And it was supposed to have Nicolas Cage and Will Smith as the two leads in it, with Shadyac directing it. Yeah, that was supposed to happen. It's kind of like what used to be with that movie Partners from the 1980s, that terrible Ryan O'Neal, John Hurt movie where, Ryan O'Neal has to pretend to be, and John Hurt have to pretend to be gay guys. That one was originally written for Clint Eastwood and Woody Allen. And the only reason they didn't do it was because both of them had to agree to work on it. Like Clint Eastwood said, I'll only do it if Woody will do it, and Woody said the same thing about Clint. They didn't agree to it, and so the film never got made that way, and we eventually got the Ryan O'Neal, John Hurt movie that we got. This is pretty much the same thing that happened here, because, yeah, this film took a radically different turn once Adam Sandler and his buddies came on board this film. You have Chuck and Larry, who are two New York City firefighters who pretend to be a gay couple in order to ensure one of their children can receive health care. However, things worsen when an agent, played by Steve Buscemi, decides to verify their story. In addition, you have Jessica Biel playing their lawyer. Ving Rhames is one of the firefighters. Dan Aykroyd is also in the movie as the fire chief. And yeah, it's not a bad concept. I mean, it's not a bad idea overall. But like I said, it's a film that once you bring in Adam Sandler and his Happy Madison crew, it takes a really good idea and just butchers it completely to the lowest common denominator possible. And at times, there are moments where it does work. I like the chemistry between Adam Sandler and Kevin James. There's a great scene towards the end of the movie where, they're in court and they have to defend their partnership, and they talk about how they feel about each other, and it's a really good, heartfelt scene. But unfortunately, the movie doesn't have a whole lot of those, and we've got predictable jokes, predictable offensive jokes. Like the gay jokes in here aren't the most offensive thing. You got Rob Schneider as what was he supposed to be, like an Asian? Was he supposed to be like an Asian priest or something? Japanese priest? Morris Takashi. Again, I need to do some research on this. He was supposed to be an Asian priest, but still. Rob Schneider's not Asian. You got David Spade as a transvestite groupie. You've got all these different people in this movie where sometimes it could be funny, but it's not. I think the only one time in the movie where I thought the jokes actually did work was one scene very early on in the movie where, there's an accident, and, Kevin James and Adam Sandler get involved in it when they're trying to put this fire on, and one of the pieces of wood breaks down, and so when they get to the hospital, Adam Sandler is being taken care of by one of the doctors, whose name is literally Dr. Honey. And, she gets offended by that at first, but then later on in the movie, because, Adam Sandler's character is a womanizer, and he's got all these women, he's got all these Hooter girls at his house one night, and, one of the other girls he has is the doctor, who's now wearing the sexy lingerie, and, she was offended at first, but then whatever Adam Sandler said to her, it worked, and it does actually lead to a pretty good bit of dialogue between him and her and Kevin James, where she sees Kevin James just like, "Oh, Larry, how are you feeling?" Like, she goes back to being the doctor again. Just like stuff like that does work. I would have liked it better if it wasn't immediately right after the first time we see her, like back in Big Daddy, the big thing about Christy Swanson's character in that movie is that she works at Hooters, and it's a joke they kind of build up throughout the course of the movie. Like, she talks about it at least once in a while, whenever we see her on screen, and then at the end of the movie, we find out that, we see her at Hooters, and that leads to the end of that joke in general. But they took their time with that, letting it sit there in the beginning of the movie, and then just seeing if it's going to come back again towards the end of the movie. Here, it literally happens with a span of 10 minutes after they first reveal it, and it's a funny bit. It's one of the few funny bits of dialogue in the movie, but like I said, it's very, very quick. You gotta build that up here. And other than that, though, the jokes in here are very predictable and very, very bland. You get, Jessica Biel in this movie is supposed to be this lawyer, but she's playing it way too dumb. She knows. She doesn't want to admit it. She won't admit it in the movie, but early on, but you just get the feeling that she knows that these two are BSing her with this whole idea that they're a gay couple. And I mean, it's like she's playing along with it, but, even so, it's just everybody in this movie besides Adam Sandler and Kevin James, are stupid. The whole, everything about the movie just doesn't work. Once in a while, there's a good joke or a good scene here and there, but it's very few and far between, and it really is a film that I can't really recommend by any means necessary, because it's not that good of a movie. It's a really bad film overall, and it just doesn't really work as a whole, and it's a shame, because the funny thing is that Adam Sandler and Kevin James, like I said, I like their chemistry. I like the scenes they have together. They do work off each other very well here, but I just wish they had something funny to do instead of just going with the same predictable, lackluster, offensive, let's be offensive for the sake of being offensive comedy without actually being funny about it. And it just doesn't work as a whole, and it really did let me down after I finally watched it again. And it's just this thing doesn't hold up. Almost 20 years later. This is still pretty bad overall. Like I said, it's a disappointment. I was expecting a lot more from it. I thought maybe time had passed and maybe it actually would hold up better. It simply does not. It's a shame because, like I said, there's pieces where it could work, but it just falls into the predictable bad Adam Sandler comedy territory, and he's done so much better stuff than this, and this just wasn't worth it in the end. So yeah, that's a hard skip on I Now Pronounce You Chuck and Larry, unfortunately. So with that said, though, let's get to the best movie of the week overall, and that is the musical Hairspray.
Remember when a movie could make you dream, could make you dance, could make you feel on top of the world?
I once had a dream that I owned a coin-operated laundromat, and I came down from that cloud real quickly.
On July 20th,
This is America. Go for it.
Get out there and show them.
you can't stop the beat. Hairspray, rated PG, starts July 20th.
Was it me, or if you ever watched the show American Dreams back in the day, it's the same voice, the voiceover guy doing the voices for American Dreams, doing the commercials for Hairspray. Was I the only one that got flashbacks to American Dreams whenever I watched this commercial again?
They invaded America, started a revolution that changed the world. And next Sunday on an all-new American Dreams, the Beatles are here.
Looks like Elvis.
Beatles invade next Sunday on an all-new American Dreams.
And funny enough, Brittany Snow, who was in American Dreams, is one of the stars of this movie, and kind of ties itself back together here. I don't know. I thought it was kind of interesting and weird to see that, but this is Hairspray, the musical adaptation of John Waters' classic comedy, which introduced the world to Ricky Lake among its cast. And in this movie, you have a pleasantly plump teenager, Tracy Turnblad, played by Nikki Blonsky, as she pursues stardom as a dancer at a local television dance show and rallies against racial segregation. She's part of a massive ensemble cast that includes legends like John Travolta, Michelle Pfeiffer, Christopher Walken, Amanda Bynes, James Marsden, Queen Latifah, the aforementioned Brittany Snow, Zac Efron, Allison Janney. Just a really, really good cast overall. Got an update on my computer there. That's why the light went down for a little bit. But, yeah, so basically this is the same plot as the original Hairspray, except with music added to it. This has already been adapted from a very successful musical of the same name, and it makes for a really entertaining movie. I mean, unlike something like Mean Girls that came out last year, which was basically just, let's remake that movie because we now have an excuse with the musical, and let's just plaster the songs in there, but not change anything from the original movie. They actually change a lot in this movie overall, and actually do something very creative and very fun with it. John Travolta as Tracy's mother in this movie is absolutely brilliant. Like, it's one of the best John Travolta performances I've seen in a long, long time, and he just goes 110% with it. Him and Christopher Walken and Jerry Stiller, who's also in the movie as well, they work off each other very well here, especially Travolta and Stiller. Michelle Pfeiffer's pretty good in the movie. Amanda Bynes is very good here. James Marsden's pretty good. Queen Latifah. Zac Efron, this is the first movie I think a lot of people realize that, okay, this kid is not just the kid from High School Musical. Like, he's got some potential acting chops going forward, and we would see that later on down the road with the next film he'd be starring in after the High School Musical 17 again. Of course, you got veterans like Allison Janney, who are usually not going to turn in bad performances overall. The songs are really good, too. A lot of them are reworked by Mark Shaman, who's been a great composer and lyricist over the years. And it's a really good movie that adds a lot of stuff from the Broadway that's different from the Broadway musical overall. And it was a very entertaining movie. It's a very stylish-looking film. It captures the spirit of the 1960s all over again. It features all these great talents in here. Everything about it just works. It's a real good fun time all across the board, and one I can't recommend enough. One of the best recent musicals as of late. Hairspray, really damn good movie. One you should definitely check out. Even if you never saw the original movie, this one's worth watching on its own merits. It's a great film. Can't recommend it enough. So with all that said, let's go ahead and move on to our last movie that we have here, and that's Danny Boyle's Sunshine.
We have a payload to deliver to the heart of our nearest star. That star is dying. And if it dies, we die.
Once again, Danny Boyle doing something that's not just the same genre over and over again. I mean, the last three films this guy has done, we had a teen drama with The Beach, then we had a zombie movie with 28 Days Later, and then a family film with Millions, and now we have a science fiction psychological thriller with Sunshine. In this one, you have a story that takes place in the year 2057, so about 32 years from now, this is going to take place. So keep your eyes and ears on that, folks. Where a group of astronauts aboard the Icarus II are sent on a dangerous mission to reignite the dying sun. They have a cast here that includes Cillian Murphy from 28 Days Later, Chris Evans, Rose Byrne, Michelle Yeoh, Cliff Curtis, Troy Garrity, Hiroko Sanada, Benedict Wong, and Mark Strong. And this was a film that did not do very well at the box office, but it's Danny Boyle and Alex Garland working together. I mean, these are the same guys that brought 28 Days Later together, and that was a great movie overall. I really enjoyed the hell out of this movie. From a technical level, it looks incredible. From an acting level, Cillian Murphy really does show the future that he has going forward, as he eventually would become an Oscar winner with Oppenheimer. Everybody else I thought worked very well here. The visuals of the film look pretty impressive. There was a lot of criticisms about the third act and the direction that it went, but watching it nearly 20 years later and seeing what it is and nowadays, it makes a lot more sense than I think you would let on. And, you know, it was criticized for inaccuracies overall, but what it does overall now that time has gone by since it's come out, I think it's a movie that had to grow in time to really get the appreciation of that specific scene, the last scene in the movie where it works very well. It's a really thought-provoking film overall. It's a film that is very unique on all levels. It really does keep you on the edge of your seat, and it just goes to show you what good Danny Boyle can do with all these different genres, because we've talked about so many other different genres that this guy has done, and here's another one where he takes on something he hasn't done before, and he makes something incredible out of it. It's a really great film, definitely one of his more underrated movies in general. I really enjoy the hell out of this movie. I highly recommend checking it out. If you like Danny Boyle's other works, you're going to love this movie a lot. I recommend Sunshine. It's definitely a worth watcher. A worth watcher. That's a new one. It's like the Wheel of Fortune ads from the 1980s. You know, I'm a worth watcher. I'm a worth watcher every day. I apologize for everything every time I do that, but what I'm saying is that Sunshine is worth watching. With all of that said now, that's my cue to get the hell on out of here. You know, there were a lot of big, highly anticipated movies in 2007, but as I said at the end of the last show, you can have your Spider-Man 3s, you can have your Shrek 3s, Pirates of the Caribbean 3, Transformers. Certainly the most anticipated movie of the summer for me personally was this little beauty right here.
20th Century Fox presents the greatest Simpsons family adventure of all time.
To use a bug zapper to catch the fish.
I think I have a nibble.
On July 27th.
President Schwarzenegger.
That is me.
Springfield has reached crisis levels. I've narrowed your choices down to 5 unthinkable options.
I was elected to lead, not to read. When disaster threatens our world,
They're going to destroy Springfield.
one family will show everyone what they're made of.
This is the worst day of my life.
It's the worst day of your life so far.
Now,
I declare a state of emergency.
time
Dad, do something.
This book doesn't have any answers.
is
What? Tell us.
running out.
Did I save the day?
Actually, you doomed us all.
No.
How did the pig tracks get on the ceiling?
Spider Pig does whatever a Spider Pig does.
The Simpsons movie.
Look out, he is a Spider Pig.
I mean, as you can see, I'm pretty decked out for this particular review. And, yeah, I personally found this t-shirt to get ready for this one. But, The Simpsons movie, a movie that had been talked about for many, many years. I mean, they've been talking about doing a Simpsons movie all the way back to the peak years of the show, back in 1992. You know, Camp Krusty, the season premiere for season 4, was supposed to be that movie, but they couldn't figure out how to do a full-length movie based off of Bart and Lisa going to Camp Krusty, so that just essentially became an episode. There was also talks about a Simpsons version of Fantasia, and finally in 1998, they said they were going to do it, and they started working on it in 2001. They went through a number of different plot ideas, a number of different, scripts that they had to go through. They had a lot of unfinished finished material that ended up on the cutting room floor. There were guest appearances by people like Aaron Brockovich, Minnie Driver, Isla Fisher, Kelsey Grammer, Edward Norton. A lot of the footage got cut out of the movie. A lot of it is very much lost media. There's only a select few that made it onto the DVD and Blu-ray releases of the movie. And, there's a lot of stuff, including a much different looking Russ Cargill, who looks much less threatening than he does in the movie. But so many things out there. I'm hoping one day we finally get that big, Shout Factory, Kino Lorber, Disney-style box set, which includes every single deleted scene. Because I think we should at least see it. I mean, it's been almost 20 years since this movie's come out, and I'm surprised we haven't gotten any kind of special release that shows the lost footage and all that. And hopefully we'll get it someday. I mean, lost media can come when you least expect it, so hopefully there will be lost media out there one day. But enough about the stuff that isn't in the movie. What about the movie itself? Is it any good? Well, let's start with the story. Homer causes Springfield to become a natural disaster zone when he dumps a silo full of pig crap into the lake. With his help, of course. He filled up the whole silo in just 2 days. Well, I helped. After this, the Simpsons become public enemy number one. They escape from Springfield and make a new life for themselves in Alaska. But little do they know, the head of the EPA, voiced by Albert Brooks, plans to blow up Springfield because of its impact on the environment, and Homer has to become a hero and save the town from destruction. And much like when I saw the SpongeBob SquarePants movie coming out, I got very excited. I was always looking online for like a new trailer, poster, photos, anything, a commercial for the trailer. I mean, Fox did a really good job of promoting and marketing the hell out of this movie. You couldn't go to a 7-Eleven or a Burger King that summer without seeing stuff for the Simpsons movie. You'd watch Fox and watch episodes of the Simpsons, and they would have the trailer premieres on every one of the episodes when they put the trailer out, and it was always a must-see moment for me, because it's just like, okay, this is something I've been waiting for so many years. And, I saw this movie a number of times in the theaters. I saw it, I think I said 8 times last time around. I saw it 5 times in the theater. It was the most I ever saw a movie in a theater. It's still the most I've ever seen in a movie in a theater. I saw SpongeBob in the movie theater 4 times, I think. I think the Avengers, I saw 3 or 4 times, I think that's it. I mean, the Simpsons, SpongeBob, and the Avengers, I think, are the biggest ones that I've seen multiple times in a movie theater. So, yeah, for a lot of people, it was a success. I mean, it was a critical success. It was a box office success. Some might have said that it may have been heavily front-loaded because it opened to $74 million and then only made about $183 million domestically. But still, that's still the highest-grossing movie based off of an animated TV show, which, for the longest time, it was the Rugrats movie, which barely cracked the $100 million mark back in 1998, and it's still the highest-grossing animated movie based off of a TV show opening of all time, pretty much. I mean, it's still very much high up there. I mean, the last one, but to be honest, the last one we had since the Simpsons movie, I think, was the Bob's Burgers movie. Well, that was 15 years later. But what about the movie itself? Do I still like it? Yeah, but even as a big Simpsons fan like I am, I don't love it to the insane levels that I had when I first saw it. I mean, when I first saw it, it was just like, okay, this is something I've been waiting to see my whole life. Of course, I'm going to be very excited to see what's on screen here. But then you look at the movie itself, and it's not a bad movie by any means necessary, but it definitely feels a little underwhelming a little bit. I mean, for a movie based off The Simpsons, I thought they did the best job they could with a movie like this because of all the script problems they had to work with. The satire is really funny. These are the characters we've come to know and love. The comedy is still really good. The story works really well. I think one of the main faults with the movie itself is that we don't get enough of the characters we want to see. Aside from The Simpsons themselves, most of the characters only show up for about 30 to 45 seconds and only have a few lines of dialogue. In fact, the credits pretty much reveal all the actors and who they were playing, and half the characters in the bubbles don't even show up in the movie or have dialogue whatsoever. They're there, but many of them are just in the background or have one line or don't even speak at all. And another problem I think the movie has is that, not that it's bad or anything, but for a Simpsons movie, the story doesn't really call itself for a big feature-length adventure. Now, I'm not asking for the Simpsons to go on like an adventure like Alvin and the Chipmunks did, where, they go around the world being on this race with all these diamond smugglers. I'm not expecting the DuckTales movie where they have to go up against a magical, mystical wizard. I mean, it's not like the King of the Hill Will Rogers commercial they did back in the day, which it's really funny, by the way, because for the longest time, a lot of people thought that was actually a scene from the King of the Hill movie. But no, that was a commercial for the Will Rogers Institute. But that's for another thing altogether. Look it up, though. It's actually pretty good. But like I said before, Camp Krusty was originally supposed to be the Simpsons movie back in 1992. And that probably could have made a great Simpsons movie if they had enough material to work with an 80-minute movie. But unfortunately, they didn't. And just recently, they had an episode that was about, maybe not even recently, 10 years ago. It was The Man Who Came to Be Dinner, where the Simpsons got taken to King and Kodos' home planet. And supposedly that was envisioned to be a sequel to the Simpsons movie, which again would have been an interesting idea. With the story they come up with this movie, it doesn't really push itself to something that could be resolved in 4 episodes. That could have been resolved in 4 episodes of the show. But then again, there's nothing wrong with the story itself by any means necessary. I just kind of was wishing for a little bit more of an epic adventure, like the Bob's Burgers movie. It doesn't have to be like the grand epic adventure where they have to go out of town and find somebody and, go on this grand adventure and all that. They have a grand adventure within the place that we know them at, and it's still pretty epic in its own merits, but yeah, I don't know. I feel like there could have been a much better story to tell with that, but the satirical comedy does work really well. A lot of them do hit bullseyes, especially in the TV version of this. There's a scene, of course, where one of the big selling points was that you get to see Bart skateboarding naked, and there's going to be a scene where Bart's penis shows up. In the movie, you see it, but the TV version is very funny. What they do with it is that it says European version only, and that's just some pretty great stuff. I also like the jabs that they take at the environment, and even Fox themselves. And the funny thing about that whole thing about Bart's penis being shown is, like, I was wondering how they were able to get away with that, because, yeah, you see it, and you see it on the screen, and it's just like, and you're trying to figure out, okay, how the hell did they pull this off without getting an R rating? I think because I think the stupidest reason is that it's not him completely naked, and that's why they were able to get away with it, because he does it, because it starts off with like an Austin Powers thing, and all of a sudden he goes through a shrub, and then on the bottom, that's where you see it, and it's just like, I think because they're not showing him with his penis out there on screen, or maybe it's just because it doesn't look like a penis. Like, you can make the argument that, he's flipping him off like this way, or something like that, but I don't know, just crazy thinking on my part here. But when the movie gets epic and exciting, and it does, it delivers. I mean, the moment where Homer and Bart save Springfield is great. The climax is well done. Them riding on top of the dome, that's good stuff right there. And I think a lot of it is with the help of the score by Hans Zimmer, who does a very good job of handling the score here. Mixing the traditional style of music related to The Simpsons, as well as upping the ante with the score fitting for a movie. But again, sticking with the feel of the series itself. It's a very, and I didn't even mention this in my original review, but when it needs to get emotional, it does get very emotional and heartfelt. Like, I think the best actress in the movie is Julie Kavner as Marge Simpson, who really just goes all out and just gives it her all with this performance that she has here, because you feel her situation here. Her husband basically destroyed the town, and she's willing to go through thick and thin with him no matter what. And then she has to have that breaking point where she records over their wedding video, and it's a very good scene, and it works because of the fact that Julie Kavner really gave it her all in there. They had to record that multiple times, tiring her out, and it's very well done. And you realize, of course, that James L. Brooks is one of the producers, and yet it's just like, oh yeah, this is the guy that did Broadcast News, Terms of Endearment, these great movies from back in the day. Maybe we should bring a little bit of that into this movie. And when it does that, I think it works very well. I think I'm underplaying the Simpsons movie a little bit more, but that was mostly because I felt like, as the time has gone on, I've really gone back and forth on it. Not to the point where I hated it at any point in time. It's just, I don't know, I kind of wanted a little bit more from it. But the more and more as time has gone on, I've realized that, yes, this is a good movie. I think it is a film that fits to every Simpsons fan out there, and it works well as a satirical comedy. It works well for a big adventure. It's a really good movie. It's definitely one of the better animated TV adaptations out there. Would I consider it the best one? No, and this is coming from somebody who thinks The Simpsons is the greatest TV show of all time. I mean, I love the show, man. I still love it, even to this very day. And, yeah, the movie is, I've gone back and forth over the years, but I never go to the point where I say it's a bad movie. It's not a bad movie. It's a very enjoyable film. It's a moment in time that I'll never forget, seeing that movie in theaters multiple times. I mean, it's a very good movie. Would I like to see another Simpsons movie down the road? Absolutely. And I wouldn't mind waiting until after the show ends for it to happen so they can do whatever they want to do with it. And until then, this really does it very well, and this will hold up very well over time. I like it a lot. I think it's a very good film. Yeah, Simpsons movie. If you love The Simpsons, you're going to love the hell out of it. So with that said, let's go ahead and move on to the competition that came out that weekend to combat The Simpsons movie. Let's start off with Catherine Zeta-Jones and Aaron Eckhart in No Reservations.
Steak rare.
Rare enough for you?
Chef Kate has a new mouth to feed.
I have no idea what to do with a kid, especially one who's lost her mother. I can't get Zoe to eat anything I make. This is who I am.
No, it's not. It's okay to let people in sometimes.
On July 27th, live your life with no reservations.
You take care of those, and I'll take care of these.
Your atmosphere in mind.
All right, No Reservations. Rated PG. Starts Friday, July 27th.
So in No Reservations, you have Catherine Zeta-Jones, who's a hard-edged chef whose life is turned upside down when she decides to take in her young niece following a tragic accident that kills her sister. And of course, she has a relationship with Aaron Eckhart, who's another chef coming in here, and the niece is played by Abigail Breslin. And you have a cast that also includes Patricia Clarkson and Bob Balaban, and you also have people like Zoe Kravitz making her first feature film debut, Lily Rabe. Overall, it's a fine movie, I guess, but at the same time, there's nothing about it that really makes it stand out as anything that great in general. It's way too over-dramatic at times. I mean, this is a story that goes all over the place. Like, it really has no idea what kind of a film it wants to be, but if they know that they can get the couples in there, they think they're home free. And, I mean, this didn't do too badly. I mean, it made almost $100 million worldwide, so there was at least an audience for it, but as far as the film itself goes, yeah, it's one that I remember seeing it once. It never really did anything for me, and then I never saw it again afterwards, so, yeah. So there you go. That's just a quick one on that one. No Reservations. Nothing bad about that one in particular, but nothing that great either. But, with all that said, though, let's get to the garbage of the weekend, and trust me, we've got some pretty big garbage coming up here. Let's start off with the film that killed Lindsay Lohan's career, and this really was the film that did it. I Know Who Killed Me.
She knew how to turn her life into a movie and watch things happen. Not to her, but to a girl who looked just like her. How would she ever find her other half? She knew only that she had to try. She had no choice.
Aubrey, you talk about her like she's real. Just a stupid assignment for class.
Aubrey, wait! I'll meet you in front of the Fremont at 11:45.
Where's Aubrey?
Mr. Fleming, is there any chance that your daughter might have run away? Was she unhappy about anything? No, not at all.
Hey, are you okay? Oh my god. Oh my god.
Yeah. Is she alive? How bad? Hey, honey, we sure did miss you.
Aubrey, we're gonna have you home in no time.
Who are you? Who is Aubrey?
Oh boy. Was this a disaster of a movie? Where do you even begin? Well, first of all, let's talk about the plot. This is a story that revolves around Lindsay Lohan, who's a young woman who's abducted and tortured by a sadistic serial killer, and after surviving the abduction, she insists that her identity is that of another woman, a woman that she was talking about, as you saw there in a school report, that she thinks that is very real. And, yeah, this was a film that was heavily promoted as, oh, this is Lindsay Lohan's move into more darker territory. I mean, she plays a stripper. That means you're going to see her naked. And, yeah, you don't see her naked in this movie. Even though she's a stripper in this movie, it's rated R. And, yeah, you don't see her naked at all. Not one moment in this movie. So, what was the point then? What's the point of making this movie? And, yeah. Not to mention that this was around that time when Lindsay Lohan was known for, publicly struggling with addiction and personal issues, and she was a nuisance on the set of movies. I mean, we talked about that with Georgia Rule. And, yeah, this is a film that just is absolutely 100% such a disaster on so many levels because, you know, it took all that goodwill that Lindsay Lohan had 4 years ago when she broke out with Freaky Friday and then Mean Girls and then had success with Herbie Fully Loaded. And then, you know, just after that, the career turn just started the coaster just started going all the way down with stuff like Just My Luck, Georgia Rule, and now, lo and behold, this film. It also doesn't help that everybody in this movie is dislikable. You hate every single person here. You don't care about Lindsay Lohan's character because she comes off as a freak in this movie. Not a good type of freak though. Just a nut job who spends way too much time on this whole thing. And it's just like, you hate the parents. You hate the people that they're trying to help out. You know, the serial killer comes out looking more likable than anybody else in this movie because everybody else just comes off as obnoxious or just self-centered and just everything about them just goes completely out the door so quickly. This film is an unbelievable mess of a movie that just fails on so many levels, and it's hard to believe that this movie has actually gone ahead and gotten one of those reappraisals by people, with people saying that it's actually not a bad movie at all. I don't know what they're seeing because, yeah, the mystery ain't that interesting. You can figure out right away, what the twist is going to be in this whole situation here, and it's not worth it at all. Nothing about this movie makes it worth it at all. And like I said, this was the film that killed Lindsay Lohan's chances of, becoming the next big movie star. Like, it was a good 4-year run while it lasted, but this was the film that did it, failing on so many levels, from the marketing campaign, from the performance itself, from the story itself. Everything about this movie just feels like this shouldn't have been a theatrical release. This feels like a film that you would see as the Lifetime movie of the week, and not even one that would be highly promoted. Just that one that would be like, we put new movies out every week, and you probably don't even know about it. This would be one of those movies. This would be one of those films that would be on that list. That's how bad this movie is. This is a terrible film. It's completely lies to you about what you're getting. You don't get anything about it in this movie whatsoever. It's a terrible film. Avoid it like the plague. I Know Who Killed Me. So with that said, let's go ahead and move on to our last movie. And if you thought that movie was bad, and it was, wait until you see Who's Your Caddy.
At Carolina Pines, the membership is reserved. But they're about to meet a man.
I'm in search of an application, sir. How are you with a shovel?
Shovel?
Did he call you a... Hold it. This is a very exclusive club.
Who doesn't take no for an answer.
Oh, what the hell are you doing on my golf course?
Shooting a music video.
You see that line? It represents the property line of that estate. Guess who closed escrow yesterday?
How much do you want?
It ain't about the money. All I want is a membership.
Ridiculous.
All right, girls, take off your tops.
Now.
As your legal counsel, I take his offer.
He's a rapper. Not quite a pastor.
Their rules are unfair.
You know I don't back down for nothing.
So he'll have to beat them.
Sweet ride.
Wilson, shut up.
At their own game.
Bill Clinton's favorite comedy, by the way. That's not even a joke. That is literally what he said. Well, technically, he told it to Bradley Cooper and Todd Phillips in 2016 when they were on The Late Late Show. And, they talked about having dinner with Clinton in Thailand while they were filming The Hangover Part 2. Because I guess he had a cameo that he was going to do, but it didn't make the final cut. And then during that dinner, Clinton said he liked comedies, and he was asked what his favorite comedy was, and it said, Who's Your Caddy? Like really? Like, this is the one that you like? This movie that, if Soul Plane didn't exist, this would be one of the worst comedies ever. And, I mean, it's a bad comedy, but good Lord, this is terrible. When hip-hop star Christopher C. Note Hawkins, played by Big Boy, is denied membership into an exclusive Carolina Pines country club, he comes up with a cunning plan that will oblige the country club to allow his acceptance. C-Note purchases property that contains land from the 17th hole and bribes the country club for a membership in exchange for the land. The rest of the movie plot revolves around the club members and their efforts to get C-Note kicked out while he disrupts the club's atmosphere. I'll give it this. This is a movie that actually made Caddyshack 2 more enjoyable than anything from this. I mean, Caddyshack 2 was a bad movie, but Caddyshack 2 had those little brief flashes of some hope. And, of course, a great Kenny Loggins song, and, I'm going in Nobody's Fool. you made congratulations, Who's Your Caddy. You made Caddyshack 2 more likable than your pile of garbage here. This is a bad movie, and unlike a movie like Soul Plane, which is 100% terrible, it's one of the worst movies ever made. This is bad, but you could just tell that this film had nothing to gain from it whatsoever. Soul Plane is a bad movie because there was effort being put into it. They took their time to build the sets of the crazy stuff that happens in that movie. This feels like a cheap movie that was never meant to go to theaters whatsoever, and it only went to theaters because it had Big Boy as the main star of the movie. He's the biggest draw of the film. I mean, yeah, you've got guys like James Avery from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Jeffrey Jones from Beetlejuice in here, Annie Milonakis is probably the only other big name in here, Sherry Shepard, of course, she was on Less Than Perfect at the time, Tamala Jones, Jennifer Lewis, Lil Wayne, Allie Landry, it's just a mess of it's just a disaster of a movie. It's a film that is not funny in any way, shape, or form. It's a lame comedy, and I would say it's worse than Soul Plane, but I give Soul Plane more credit for how bad it is because effort was put into making that movie by people who clearly had no idea what they were doing. They knew exactly what they were doing with this movie. They knew that this was never meant to be a seriously good comedy whatsoever. And again, they knew that this was never supposed to go to the theaters at all. This is a film that clearly was supposed to be a direct-to-video release, but somebody at Dimension Films said, we'll put it in there because we've got this rapper here that everybody knows of. I mean, that's one half of Outkast. Yeah, I was gonna say, I thought he was an Outkast. Yeah. Of course, he's from Outkast. Of course, Andre 3000, Andre Benjamin is the other half of that. He's had a much better film career, obviously, than Big Boy has. And this is pretty bad. This is just a terrible movie on so many levels. Not one good moment came from this film whatsoever. But yeah, it's one of the worst comedies ever made. I mean, it is legitimately a bad comedy, and you should avoid it like the plague. Just avoid this movie, man. I've got nothing else to say about this one. That's Who's Your Caddy for you.